friends. I am coming to you with some breaking news that just came out today. The United States Supreme Court has announced today that it will fully review TikTok's First Amendment challenge to a federal law requiring TikTok to divest from its foreign owners or face a national ban. So this has been a hot topic that we have been watching, whether or not TikTok is going to suffer a national ban in the United States. There is a federal law which Attorney General argued requires TikTok to separate from its Chinese ownership or face a national ban in the US. But now the Supreme Court has said we are granting review and we will hear oral argument on this topic. So it has been broken by several news outlets that the justices of the United States Supreme Court have set oral arguments in this case for January 10th, which is 9 days before the law's sale or ban deadline, and established an expedited briefing schedule that requires briefing to be completed by the parties by January 5th. TikTok had asked the court on Monday for an emergency stay of a DC Circuit ruling upholding the law, or alternatively, to treat the application as a petition for review. In the application, TikTok and its owner, ByteDance, told the Supreme Court that the divestment law passed by Congress in April will end one of the country's quote, most popular speech platforms and deprive them of their free speech rights right before Donald Trump, who has recently expressed support for the app's continued U.S. operation, is inaugurating. So TikTok is saying, this is a First Amendment constitutional law issue. This is a free speech issue, and we want to be heard by the United States Supreme Court in regards to whether this ban is appropriate. So, under the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, ByteDance has until January 19th to either divest from the platform's American operation or shut it down. Trump will be inaugurated and return to the White House the following day. So they're saying this is insane. Donald Trump has expressed that he wants TikTok to remain, and he's going to be taking office the following day on January 20th. So we need to be heard now. So, quote, an interim injunction is appropriate because it will give the incoming administration time to determine its position, as the president-elect and his advisors have voiced support for saving TikTok, end quote, ByteDance and TikTok said in the petition for a stay. Also Monday, TikTok CEO Xiaozi Chu met with Trump in Florida. At a news conference after the meeting, Trump said he would, quote, take a look at TikTok, end quote. So I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok, said Trump, adding that some had credited the platform with encouraging young voters to support his candidacy. TikTok is asking the United States Supreme Court justices to review a DC Circuit's panel's ruling on Friday denying the company's request for a preliminary injunction to stop the bill from taking effect. The week before that, a different panel held that the law survived claims that it violated the company's First Amendment speech rights, even under strict scrutiny. So importantly, constitutional rights, free speech, First Amendment rights are typically subject to strict scrutiny when there is a law or a potential restriction on free speech. There are certain types of speech, of course, that is not protected under the First Amendment, such as threats or vulgarity. However, when there are laws that threaten or that seek to threaten free speech, they are subject to a more scrutinous standard because we want to make sure that we do protect this First Amendment right. So this article reports in Law 360 that many accuse the Chinese government of using TikTok to manipulate and spy on Americans. According to the company, though, the U.S. government never met its burden to prove that TikTok posed a risk of covert manipulation of content by China, the national security justification used for the bill's passage. So this Protecting Americans from Foreign Advisory Controlled Applications Act is a federal law. It's being challenged by TikTok, and they basically used as their underpinning rationale for passing the bill, alleging risk of covert manipulation of content by China, and that this is allegedly national security concerns. The Law 360 article goes on to report, quote, neither Congress, the government, nor the D.C. Circuit identified any evidentiary basis to declare that the, quote, covert nature of any such risk could not be remedied through an express disclosure, the company said in its brief Monday. That is how the First Amendment requires the government to address a concern that the public is being misled about who is behind the speech they receive, end quote. A temporary stay, TikTok said, wouldn't materially harm the government in any way because TikTok claimed the app poses no imminent threat to national security. At the same time, TikTok said the public interest lies in having a full review of the law's constitutionality by the justices of the United States Supreme Court before it can take effect. The law, which applies to any social media platform that a president designates to be a, quote, foreign adversary controlled application, end quote, a designation only TikTok has received thus far, ignores numerous websites and applications that present the same or more risk to national security, TikTok said. Quote, the strong combined inference is that Congress passed the act for a different reason entirely. It targeted TikTok based on disagreement with the substance of the content posted by TikTok's users and alleged editorial choices by TikTok Inc. in disseminating that content, TikTok alleged. Congress has no legitimate interest in interfering with the U.S. ownership of an expressive platform to alter its content. This court has already made that clear, and it is likely to reaffirm this court has already made that clear, and it is likely to reaffirm that fundamental principle here. So these cases are going to be closely watched. We do have now a grant of cert. They call it a grant of certiorari. It is by the United States Supreme Court, which we will read through right now. And it does state that consideration of the application for an injunction pending review presented to the Chief Justice and by him referred to the court is deferred pending oral argument. Applicants suggested this court treat the applications as petitions for writ of certiorari. Doing so, the petitions are granted. The cases are consolidated, and a total of 2 hours is allotted for oral argument. That's a very long oral argument. The parties are directed to brief and argue the following question: whether the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act, as applied to the petitioner's TikTok, violates the First Amendment. The parties are directed to file electronically simultaneous opening briefs, limited to 13,000 words, and a joint appendix on or before 5 p.m. Friday, December 27, 2024. Reply briefs that are limited to 6,000 words are to be filed electronically on or before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, January 3rd. So that's an expedited briefing schedule. It's a very quick briefing schedule, given the imminency of this new law that is set to go into effect January 19th. Any amicus curiae briefs are to be filed electronically on or before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, December 27, 2024. Booklet forms briefs prepared in compliance with Rule 33.1 shall be submitted as soon as possible thereafter. The case is set for oral argument on Friday, January 10, 2025. So this case is set to be argued before the United States Supreme Court on January 10th, 2025, friends, and we are going to want to tune into that because this has been a brewing for quite some time. The constitutionality of the federal law that is impacting TikTok and its alleged violations of TikTok's First Amendment rights. So friends, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I will be continuing to come here with breaking news every day on this channel. Subscribe and support the channel and you'll be notified of these upcoming live streams. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye now.